How about those college football playoff rankings? How about that? Week two already. Welcome into the show, everybody. Week 12 is upon us. It is here. Only a few weeks left in the regular season. We have college football playoff rankings, week two edition. I know I just threw up a three, but it's week two edition to discuss. We have three game previews coming your way, and then we have upset alerts and the picks for this week. If you like money, stay tuned for the picks at the end of the show because we are on a hot streak right now, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, we are going to jump in to the college football playoff rankings reaction. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have the week two, I guess technically week 12 college football playoff rankings right there beside me. Seeing these for the first time here, my initial reactions right here. Couple things stand out, top five. They left it the same. They did jump Texas Tech over Ole Miss. I'm not sure if that's necessarily a surprise. Texas Tech did beat the committee's seventh ranked team over the weekend, so not super surprising there. I did mention that if you follow on social media, on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, that they could do that, and that might be a possibility for them to do that. And I think it makes sense. I'm okay with it. Nothing too crazy there. Other than that, the order from Oregon to Oklahoma stayed the same, and BYU does drop to number 12. Not shocking there. So that means Oklahoma and BYU would be the first two teams out for. Currently, it looks like Miami, I guess, is their ACC favorite to be in the playoff now. Somehow Miami jumped over Georgia Tech from last week. Not exactly sure what went through the committee's mind there. It really weird. Miami jumped four spots for beating a bad Syracuse team. I think they are a better team than Georgia Tech. So I'm not exactly sure why they had them below Georgia Tech last week and why they just decided. Georgia Tech didn't play this past weekend, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't play a football game, and Miami just obliterated a bad Syracuse team and just got to jump ahead of them. Just jump ahead of them. Move up four spots for that? I don't really think so. I believe they jumped USC and Michigan as well. So the committee has no idea what they're doing with Miami. They saw some of the backlash with Miami. Now they're trying to make up for it, I guess. I'm just shocked at what the committee has done here with Miami at number 15. I think that's the biggest shock. It's not super shocking that they moved them up, I guess, just that they moved them up above Georgia Tech, USC, and Michigan. I could see them moving them up above Virginia and Louisville, but then above Georgia Tech, USC, and Michigan. I think that's the biggest shock. To move them up that high. Iowa didn't move at all. I believe they dropped one actually from 20 to 21 with the loss against Oregon. Completely fine with that. Completely fair. I think that's okay from the committee there. And then USF and Cincinnati arrive into the fold. I'm happy with that. That means USF is the G5 player right now in the playoffs. Again, they're jumping literally everybody in the entire universe to get in there. We can have the arguments about whether or not we should have a G6 team in the playoff or not, whatever. They're going to be in. Or a James Madison or possibly even a UConn, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let that fall off your radar. And then we have Cincinnati coming back into the top 25 there. I'm okay with that. I think Cincinnati's a solid football team. What's crazy is they have better odds to make the Big 12 championship game. Better odds than Utah, and Utah's all the way up there at 13. Again, Utah smacked Cincinnati around when they played a few weeks ago in Utah, so that makes sense. Completely okay with that. But they have a better chance of, I think, making the playoff. I think Utah at 13, they're not going to move up or down, really, in the coming weeks. Possibly if BYU loses in a couple weeks, they'll move up one. But Utah really didn't play anybody to make them move a lot. So right now, the ACC is probably getting one team in. The Big 12 looking like if Texas Tech wins out, they're going to get one team in. It's not looking great for the Big 12 or the ACC to get multiple teams in there. And they, obviously, if Notre Dame falters to Pitt this weekend, that could throw a wrench into things. But I think the committee's done a solid job here. Nothing is too crazy here. Again, Texas, the loss to Florida. If anybody team in the top 10, Alabama and Texas have the two worst losses, unless I'm missing one right now with Florida State and Florida there. Funny that it comes from a state of Florida. But nothing too crazy here from the committee. I think I'm fine with what they've done here, other than the Miami conundrum. I'm not sure. The committee just has no idea what they're doing with Miami. Just completely lost on the Miami Hurricanes. But we're going to jump right into the previews for today's video. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how about that? How about those rankings we just saw? Huh. Interesting to say the least. Not super shocking in my mind, but we have Oklahoma at Alabama to discuss. Massive game this weekend. Week 12 is full of variety. Okay, we can get clarity in the SEC in week 12. We have Oklahoma at Alabama. We have Texas at Georgia. If OU and Texas lose, probably elimination for them. If Bama and Georgia lose, all four of those teams are still alive for everything they want to accomplish this season in college football. Second thing we get clarity on, Notre Dame and some of the ACC. They're going to get some clarity this weekend. Notre Dame at Pitt. Notre Dame loses that football game. Get them out of here. Get the Fighting Irish out of my playoff bracket. Get them out of here. Pitt wins. Whoa, baby. Whoa, baby. Everything is right in front of them. Clemson at Louisville. If Louisville goes down, probably eliminates them. Virginia at Duke. Duke is favored in this one. 5-4 Duke is favored against 7-2 Virginia. And then NC State at Miami. NC State's already beat a couple good ACC teams this year. Georgia Tech only lost to NC State. Could they hand Miami their third? Who knows? And then we have a USC situation on our hands this week. They're still in it. If they were to beat Iowa this weekend, a lot will be happening, but we start with Oklahoma at Alabama in what I am terming as the week 12 of college football is the hinge week in my mind. Okay, we're going to jump right into OU at Alabama. 7-2 Oklahoma traveling to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Ladies and gentlemen, huge announcement live on the show, live for me, recorded for you. The Fritts Show will be in attendance. It is our first trip ever to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It is our first trip ever to Saban Field, Bryant-Denny Stadium. Super excited. Could not be more excited to be in attendance for this football game. We are way up high, so we will be bringing the binoculars to be able to get a good eye on the football in this one, but we will be there. Could not be more excited. Extremely happy to be going to this football game. Massive playoff implications. Okay, what's at stake? Oklahoma, you lose this football game, likely, very, very likely, your playoff hopes for the season are out the window. You know how you're eating a banana or something in the car. You roll down that passenger side of the window. Boom, you throw that banana peel outside. It decomposes, not harmful to anybody, except for maybe Mario when he's walking on the sidewalk. That's Oklahoma's playoff hopes, that banana peel out the window if they lose this game to Alabama, okay? If they win, they're alive for the SEC title game. You're going to have a lot happen in order to make that a reality. But boy, oh boy, are they put themselves basically in a driver's seat for a 10, 11, 12 seed in the college football playoff. They're basically a shoo-in if they get to 10-2, this Oklahoma football team. They cannot do that if they don't beat Alabama this weekend. For Alabama, you lose, everything you want is still within grasp, okay? You lose, it's your first SEC loss. You're still tied with, say, A&M. Excuse me, A&M's undefeated. Say Georgia if they were to beat Texas this weekend, but then you would have the head-to-head over Georgia. So you're still there with everyone else in the SEC to win the SEC and make it to that conference title game. And in your college football playoff hopes, still alive and well if you're an Alabama fan. If they win, really nothing changes from where they are currently. They will not move up in the rankings. Would be shocked if they did. So really, if you win, it's the result we all expect, and they're right where they are currently. Without further ado, we're going to jump into the preview. If you're new here, thank you for tuning in. 1, 2, we start with the visiting team always, and we talk a couple things we know, maybe 1 or 2 things we know about this football team coming into this matchup, coming into this football game. And then we discuss a couple questions we have about that said football team. And then we go to the home team and do the same thing. And then I give a prediction at the end. And stay tuned for that prediction because I am a whopping 9-0 when predicting Oklahoma Sooner football games this year. So stay tuned for the prediction. I've already got it locked it in a couple weeks ago if you follow on social media. So if you wanted to get an early bet placed, you could have gone there. on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Ian Fritts Show to see that. Oklahoma, what do we know about this football team? Number one, the defense continues to be legit. And I know what you're thinking. Ian, but what about Tennessee? Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, he had so many yards, touchdowns. Yeah, okay. Enough of that. Enough of that whining out there, audience. The defense, other than 4 or 5 plays, yes, I know, I hear it. Ian, but those 4 or 5 plays count. I know that. I'm not a numbnuts, okay? I know those plays count, and I include them. But with all of those included, this defense is still a top 5 unit in the country. Let's run through the numbers really quickly. 8th in points per game allowed, 7th in yards per game allowed, 3rd in yards per play. So on a down-to-down basis, they're even better than strung out through the entire game. They're 1st in yards per rush allowed. They're 2nd in sack percentage. They have 33 sacks on the year. That is one off the most in the country. I believe Texas and Texas A&M are tied at 34 for that title right now. And here, we're about to get to the good stuff, ladies and gentlemen, about how good this defense is for the Oklahoma Sooners. They're 1st in tackles for loss. 12, yes, I'm going to say that again, 12 more than anyone else in the entire country. 12 more tackles for loss. They average 10.8 tackles for loss per game. No one else averages more than 9.2 a game. That is an astounding clip. That is an astounding number for a defense to be at through 9 games of the season. Astonishing stuff from the Oklahoma Sooners defense. That is the unit this year. They are legit. We know that coming into this football game. Looking back over the entirety of the SEC time for Oklahoma. So going into last year, this stat blew my mind. Was looking at it, watching OU games. Hey, notice the trend here a little bit for this Oklahoma Sooner football team when they're on the road in the SEC. Okay, they've had 6 SEC road games since they joined the conference in 2024. 6. Okay, in 5 of those 6 SEC road games, Oklahoma's defense has scored. Let me repeat that. In 5 of their 6 SEC road games, Oklahoma's defense has put points on the board. Okay, that's what the offense is supposed to do. Brent Venables has this defense scoring in 5 of the 6 road games in the SEC. Astonishing number. That's 1 pick 6, 3 fumble 6s, and then 1 safety. Unbelievable stuff from this Oklahoma Sooner defense since it joined the SEC. That's just the road games. Didn't even go into home games. I believe the defense has scored in SEC conference play more than 60% of the time. But on the road, it's basically going to be a guarantee that in this game on Saturday afternoon, OU's defense scores. What a wild stat. 5 of 6. I've never seen anything like that. Never in all my years in the long life I've had of watching college football, never in my life have I seen a defense over 2 different years just continue to score in conference on the road. Astonishing stuff. Second thing we know about this Oklahoma Sooner football team, the run game. And you're thinking, Ian, yeah, we know the run game stinks. We know the run game stinks. You don't have to tell us that. Not where I was going, audience. Not where I was going. The run game for the Sooners is coming along very nicely. It's peaking at the right time. It is peaking at the right time. Okay, Xavier Robinson, back-to-back 100-yard games for him. He was injured earlier in the season. He's getting healthy now. And this is exactly when you want to be peaking if you're Oklahoma in the run game, because you're going up against Alabama, who has, if you were to remove the sack yardage they force on teams, if you remove that, they have the 94th rush defense in the entire country in terms of yards per play and yards per game. If you remove the sack yardage, okay? 94th in the entire country. And over the last couple weeks, OU has a top 30 rushing offense. This is the 3rd straight game this offensive line will have played together. So there's continuity, there's unity, there's communication that they understand. Hey, when I say Billy Bob Joe, I'm talking about that outside linebacker. He's coming up, he's blitzing, okay? You're going to go out, kick out, and get him. Ryan Foje, okay? This unit is peaking at the right time. That's what we know about this Oklahoma Sooner football team. Defense, legit. Run game, peaking. Biggest question for the Sooners on Saturday afternoon. Number 1, what John Mateer are we going to get? Okay? Throughout the season, we've had A couple John Mateers. I'd say we've probably had 4 or 5 John Mateers, and you're thinking 4 or 5. I only know about the one on Oklahoma, right? And well, we're talking about the one, but he's shown several different sides of himself on the football field. He can play good, he can play bad, he can play mad, he can play. Ooh, what was that, John? What was that? Earlier on in the year, we saw just wheeling and dealing, slinging the rock, putting his head down, running over dudes. I think back to that game-winning drive against Auburn. He was, without a better words for this scenario, he was balls to the wall. This John Mateer was early on in the season. Then you know what? Injured his hand, had surgery. Since then, he's been a little timid, been a little shy. John Mateer has. What John Mateer are we going to get on Saturday? Because I'm going to tell you, if we get balls to the wall, John Mateer, OU has a very, very good chance of winning this football game. If we get wheeling and dealing, John Mateer, slinging the rock down the field, we get good John Mateer. That's good John Mateer. OU can win this football game and win it handedly. If we get shy John Mateer, timid John Mateer, no, I don't really need to run. I'll just slide down. I'm not going to run over a dude's face. If we get that John Mateer, could be a long day for the Oklahoma Sooner football team. Second question. Kicker, Tate Sandell, had maybe the best performance of any kicker I can remember for a long time. Had 4 field goals, 350-plus yards against Tennessee a couple weeks ago. One of the all-time performances from a kicker. Is he capable of doing it in back-to-back games? Okay, you look at Alabama's defense. Okay, they are the definition of bend, don't break right now, especially recently. They're giving up yardage. They're letting people into the red zone. But when they get into the red zone, those teams falter. They break down. The wheels fall off the bus. The train comes off the tracks when you get into the red zone against Alabama. So, is Tate Sandell going to be able to get his leg, kick that football in between the goalposts like he did against Tennessee? I believe his leg will be very vital in this football game. Is he able to live up to his name 2 weeks in a row? Alabama. What do we know about this Crimson Tide football team? First thing we know, Ty Simpson. And this is more of a projection. I'm not even sure this is a guarantee. However, based on what we've seen from Oklahoma the past couple of weeks, I believe this is a guarantee. So I'm throwing it in the what we know about this football team category. Ty Simpson is going to have a lot of yards in this football game. Okay, you look back a couple weeks ago, Trinidad Chambliss sliced and diced that Oklahoma secondary a little bit. Joey Aguilar last week, a couple weeks ago, sliced and diced that Oklahoma secondary. They were able to throw for bukus and bukus of yards. Ty Simpson, better quarterback than both of them. I believe he will have a lot of yards in this football game. We know they're going to be able to attack Oklahoma's secondary. That's the weakest part of that defense for Oklahoma. As good as those numbers were that I read off earlier this year, Ty Simpson, best quarterback they have faced this season. And if you don't get pressured on him, which not really anybody's getting pressure on him right now. He's got clean pockets. He could take a shower back there. That's how clean it is. And then he can clean himself as well. That's how much time he has right now, man. He is stepping up in the pocket. He is, oh, hey, covered. Oh, double covered. Oh, guy with 4 guys around him. Boom, I'll just fit it in between all of them. Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, doesn't matter who I'm throwing to. School the blind. Wide receivers, doesn't matter. They could just put their hands like this. It's going to be in the bucket every time. That's what Ty Simpson's doing right now, ladies and gentlemen. Clean pockets. He's going to pick apart this Oklahoma defense for yards. We'll get into just the emphasis on yards here in a little bit for questions. Number 2, they cannot run the football. The Alabama Crimson Tide stink at running the football. And that's probably putting it lightly. That is not an emphasis enough on how bad they are at running the football right now. They suck at it. They're so bad at running the football. It is honestly crazy to watch because the offense, for the most part this year, has been able to put up some points. Has been able to move the football. That's just because of Ty Simpson, ladies and gentlemen. They're 108th in yards per rush. They're 113th in yards per game. I wrote down, typoed myself here, scribbled. I wrote down they are 1,113th in yards per game. That honestly, that's what it looks like watching them. There's only 138 FBS teams. It looks like they're just way out of the 138. That's how bad they are at running the football right now. This is not going to change on Saturday. Not going to happen. Biggest question for Alabama. Are those explosive pass plays that I hinted at with Ty Simpson having just bukus and bukus of yards? Are those explosive pass plays just that? Are they just explosive pass plays for yards? Or are those explosive pass plays a 65-yard touchdown? Or is it a 55-yard gain and OU forces Alabama to a field goal? Is it a 45-yard gain and OU forces Alabama to a missed field goal? Or is it a 75-yard screen to Ryan Williams? Is it a 75-yard go ball to Jeremy Bernard? What is it? Is it a just yards, or is there 75 yards for a touchdown? That's what we need to watch. Do they put those explosive pass plays into touchdowns? You need to against this Oklahoma defense, because when you get across the 50, this Oklahoma defense does not allow you to score the football. Oklahoma's defense is at its worst when you have a lot of yards to play with. Once it condenses, this team is really, really good. Number two, the defense. They've given up a lot of yards on the ground recently, this Alabama Crimson Tide has, and it's funny. You can't run the football and you can't stop the run as well. Okay, so it's interesting. You're bad on both sides of the ball, running it and stopping the run. Again, OU's offense starting to peak at the right time with this run game. Are they able to make Oklahoma one-dimensional and make John Mateer beat him through the air? That's key for Alabama if they want to win this football game on Saturday afternoon. Now, who do we think is going to win this football game? Okay, I said it. I said it after Oklahoma beat Tennessee, which I called, by the way, 9-0. Again, I said it. I tweeted it out. If you're not following on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, go do that, at Ian Fritts Show. I said Oklahoma will go into Tuscaloosa and lose. Give me Alabama to win and Alabama to cover the 6.5. Next game up, Texas at Georgia. We got confetti on the screen. Never seen that before, ladies and gentlemen. Not sure what I did. I think when I hit the space bar, I got a C. Oh, confetti again. We are going to use that to our advantage, ladies and gentlemen. We got confetti on the screen. If you're listening on podcast, you are missing out. Going to take a sip here and then dive into Texas at Georgia. I'm going to hit that confetti just one more time. That was cool. Boom! Confetti. Wow. That's awesome stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Texas at Georgia, 7-2 Texas Longhorns at the 8-1 Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia is favored by 6.5 in this one. The stakes. Texas loses. They are basically they're out of it. I was going to say they're all but out of it, but that would mean that they're not out of it. So whatever the opposite of that is, that's what Texas is. If they lose, they are out of it. Now, some would say they still got a chance that they beat Texas A&M. They do, slim, but they do. If any 9-3 team got in, it would probably be Texas, based on that they have 2 top 5 teams the last 3 weeks of the season. UGA, Georgia, they lose. They could be in a tough spot depending on what happens with other SEC teams around them. What if Oklahoma beats Alabama? Then OU probably moves ahead of a Georgia in the rankings. But if Oklahoma loses, Georgia loses, they're probably ahead of Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. So it all depends on what happens with the other SEC teams if you're looking at a Georgia team right now. If they win, they virtually lock up a playoff spot. You got the School of the Blind coming into your house next week, and then you play Georgia Tech. Losable game, not an SEC game. I expect them to win that one. Texas, what do we know about this Texas Longhorn football team? Number one, there is only one. Arch Manning is playing quietly, some of the best football in the entire country over the last couple weeks. Okay, he did it against Mississippi State, slinging the rock around. Okay, he did it against Vanderbilt, slinging the rock around. And some would say, well, he's a check down screen merchant. I don't care what he is. He is doing what is asked of him in that Steve Sarkisian offense right now, and he wasn't doing it to start the year. He's starting to get the hang of things as a starting quarterback at the University of Texas. I expect good things from him on Saturday. That's what we know. Biggest question for Texas, the run defense. The run defense has been exceptional. Number 2 in the country in yards per rush allowed. However, Georgia Bulldogs, they are running the football down people's throats right now. Running it down their throats. Just beating it down their throats. That's what Georgia's doing to people right now on the ground. Is Texas going to be able to hold up? Are they going to be able to hold up? That's my question. Their run defense has held up all year long. Does it continue on Saturday, or is it finally that that breaking point where they face a better rush offense than they've seen all year long. Georgia, what do we know about Georgia? Number one, they want to run the football. We just alluded to it. They are shoving it down people's throats right now, just at will. Okay. And they want to run the football. 60-40 run pass split for Georgia right now. And it helps when you got Nate Frazier, when you have eluding me, the other running back's name, eluding me, more of a bruiser. And then you have Gunnar Stockton at the helm who can also run the football. When you have those three guys, yeah, I get it why you would want to run the football down people's throats. And when you can do it at will, keep doing it. Mike Bobo knows what he's doing over there in Athens, GA. Biggest question for Georgia in this one. The secondary. Oof, baby. Ugh, gross. Do they have one? Does Georgia have a secondary? Are they existent? Are they ghosts? I'm not sure. Really haven't seen them a lot this year because they've been getting torched, left in the dust, and you would see wide receivers running wide open. You'd be like, whoa, what game am I watching here? Is this a Georgia Kirby Smart football team right now? Yeah, it is. It is, Ian. You are watching Kirby Smart's coach football team right there. That secondary stinks. Okay? Got a little better against Mississippi State last week. What's that? It's Mississippi State season's kind of over for them. You cannot be bad in the secondary against Texas this weekend. That is how Texas beats people, is through the air against bad secondaries. That is the strength of their team. Those skill position wide receivers for Texas, that's the strength of their team. Georgia, does the secondary show up on Saturday? Biggest question for the Dogs in this one. Now, who do I got to win in this football game? I have gone on record saying Texas will win either the Georgia game or the Texas A&M game. However, I already know which one they will win. It is not this one. Give me Georgia to win and cover. Give me Georgia -6.5 in this one. Next game up, Notre Dame Fighting Irish at Pitt. Woo! Notre Dame. You guys ready for this one? This is your chance to stay alive. This is you staying alive in the college football playoff race. This is what you got to do, Notre Dame. You have to win this one to be in the CFP for the second straight year. Pitt, you win this football game and you take down the Fighting Irish. You will be not just in position to get into the college football playoff, but you will be probably national heroes in the eyes of a lot of college football fans if you were to take down the Fighting Irish on Saturday afternoon. Notre Dame, what do we know about the Fighting Irish? The offense is fun, is awesome, is exhilarating, is exciting. You're thinking, no, Ian, no. That's the defense. Notre Dame, defense, offense is kind of bleh. No. Not this year, ladies and gentlemen. CJ Carr has that thing humming up there in South Bend. This offense is fun to watch, and they're balanced as well. They're number 2 in pass yards in pass yards per pass. Okay, so they're effective on a down-to-down basis. They are making the most of every play they have. They are also number 1 in points per play in the entire country. Okay, so again, they are making the most of every opportunity they have, and they're fulfilling it virtually every single time they play. Okay, I believe they're roughly at 6.5 points per play, which is good for number 1 in the entire country. So virtually every play they run, they score a point for that play, or they score a touchdown per play. Biggest question for Notre Dame in this one, the defense. The defense hasn't been tested in a while. It's been since USC, I believe 3 weeks ago. They let up 24 points. That's the most they've given up since they played Purdue in week 4. Yes, Purdue in week 4. So that defense is kind of settling in. This is the best passing attack since that USC game. Does that trend continue where this defense is getting better throughout the season? They're figuring things out. Marcus Freeman has them boys playing some good football. Does that continue on Saturday? Or does it go back to weeks 1 through 4 where they were getting torched a bit? Okay, biggest question for the Irish in this one. Pitt, what do we know about this Pittsburgh football team? Number 1, We know that this offense is a well-balanced football team, okay? Not just the offense. The team as a whole is balanced. It's not just stellar offense. It's not just stellar defense. It's not bad offense. It's not bad defense. They're both top 30. The offense is top 30. The defense is top 30. And in some categories, metrics, depending on where you look, they're both top 15 in certain categories within the offense. Yards per play, points per play. You go into things like that. They're both in some cases top 15. So it's a very good unit on the offense. It's a very good unit on the defense. Probably the most well-balanced team that Notre Dame has faced up until this point in the season. So it's not going to be defense dominated by Pitt on Saturday. It's not going to be the offense goes off for 75 points. It's not going to be the defense gives up 75 points. It's not going to be the offense can't score a point. Okay, it's going to be well balanced. It might be a little up and down for points here and there in the football game, but that's what happens when you have a well balanced football team. Biggest question for Pitt in this one, easy. Mason Heinzkel, quarterback, true freshman for Pitt, never been in a big time game like this. This is his moment as a true freshman to rise to the occasion, and cement himself as a stud. Okay, we give out the Certified Stud Muffin Award every week in college football. It is the most prestigious award in college football other than the Heisman Trophy, but it is debatable. It is debatable. If Mason Heinzkel were to go out and beat Notre Dame this weekend and have good numbers, because you have to have good numbers to win that award, he will be the Certified Stud Muffin on Sunday. He will be the Certified Stud Muffin on Sunday if he were to beat Notre Dame. Can he rise to the occasion and come get that prestigious award? Or does he fold? Does he flounder a little bit like a Matt Zollers did last week against Texas A&M? Sorry, Matt. Just sideswiped you for no reason there. Well, for a reason. You stunk. You stunk against Texas A&M. Made me look like a dum-dum. Mason, are you going to make me look like a dum-dum? I'm not predicting you to have a great game, but I would like you to. I would like to give you the Certified Stud Muffin Award. Do you rise to the occasion, Mason? I'm slurring my words there. Do you rise to the occasion, Mason? Come on, Mr. Heinzkel. I believe in you. Get it done. Now, who is going to win this one? It's Notre Dame minus 10.5 right now, ladies and gentlemen. Give me Notre Dame to win and cover in this one. As much as I hate to do it, I think that's what's going to happen, so I have to stick to my guns here. Upset alerts. Sound the alarm. Upset alerts. Upset alerts. Wake Forest beat Virginia last week. Where was that on our meter last week? Oh yeah, it was number 1. We said it was going to happen. It happened. That is now 3 weeks in a row. The number 1 spot on the upset alert segment for the Ian Fritts Show has lost outright. 3 weeks in a row, folks. Okay. So if you're new here, how I do my upset alerts, I go least likely to most likely. We're jumping right in with Minnesota at Oregon. Oregon is favored by 24.5. Friday night football game. Minnesota's defense is solid. Oregon has struggled against good defenses. Would not shock me at all if this is a close one coming down to the wire. Think Louisville, Miami a few weeks ago. But it is going to be my least likely upset on the board. Notre Dame, next least likely game. We just talked about it. Alabama is my third least likely upset of the weekend. I could see it happening. I could see all these happening. That's why they're on the board. But I have to rank them. And I could see it happening, but not super likely. Okay, these top 3 would not shock me at all. Would not be surprised at all if I looked. Oh, hey, Iowa beat USC by 10. Oh yeah, makes a little bit of sense. Texas beat Georgia on the road. Oh yeah, makes a little bit of sense. They were able to score 42 points. Finally, the one that I am predicting to happen is the Utah Utes to lose on the road in Waco, Texas, as 10.5-point favorites against the Baylor Bears. I expect Sawyer Robertson to have an exceptional day in the passing game. Give me Baylor Bears to upset the Utah Utes. That is the number 1 spot on the upset alert meter this week. Again, it's happened 3 weeks in a row. It will happen 4 weeks in a row. Take Baylor plus the 10.5. Now, we will jump in to the picks segment of the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the game picks. Here we go. This is a huge week in college football. We mentioned it earlier in the show that it is a hinge week in college football. Massive, 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 massive hinge week in college football. Starting right there, Friday night, Clemson, Louisville. I don't know why I'm doing this. but I'm taking Clemson plus the 3. No idea. Probably a mistake, but I'm doing it. I'm also taking Minnesota plus the 25.5, and I think we may even creep up to 26.5. And I will take that all day, every day. Give me Notre Dame minus 10.5 there at Pitt. Wouldn't shock me again. It was on the upset alert segment just a second ago. Wouldn't shock me at all if Pitt keeps this one close, but I like Notre Dame minus the points there. And then give me Northwestern plus the 11.5. Sneaky feeling they're going to keep this one close up there in Chicago. A&M minus 19.5. I have made it my mission to just take A&M minus the points from here on out. If they are favored in the game, I will take them minus the points. Indiana minus 29.5 at home against Wisconsin. Look, the Badgers coming off a huge win at home against Washington, where their punter was their leading passer. Wild stuff. 29.5 is a lot of points, but the gut still likes Indiana minus 29.5 there. Duke at home minus 5.5 against a ranked Virginia team. Duke is 5-4. Virginia, they're in the top 20 of the college football playoff rankings. How in the world is Duke favored by 5.5? Because they're a better football team, and I'm going to side with the better football team on this one. You already know I took Alabama minus the 6.5 there. Boston College at home against Georgia Tech minus 16.5. Georgia Tech, the committee forgot about them, put Miami above them. Boston College has won one game this year, but Dylan Lonergan, good quarterback. I like Boston College in this one to keep this close. And again, the ACC is just a disaster. It would not shock me if Boston College somehow won that football game. Okay, Georgia Tech, now that I say that, now that I'm on the hot trail of Boston College, Georgia Tech's going to go in and win by 32. But I like Boston College plus the 16.5 there. And I also like Iowa plus the 7. This is an issue. I think I'm taking too many underdogs this weekend. NC State at Miami. Speaking of underdogs, I like NC State plus the 14.5. Texas Tech minus 23.5 at home against UCF. Give me Texas Tech there. And then Tennessee at home minus 40.5 against nobody. It's New Mexico State. Just didn't put it on there. I like Tennessee minus the 40.5. They'll probably score 60. New Mexico State's not a horrible football team. But, excuse me, they are a horrible football team. I'm thinking of New Mexico, the Lobos, not a horrible football team. Give me Tennessee minus 40.5. And then Utah at Baylor. This is my upset special of the week. I like Baylor plus 10.5 to win outright. Florida at Ole Miss minus 15.5 for the Rebels. Something in me was stirring up and just trying to get me to take Florida plus 15.5. And I said, you stupid, stupid, stupid person. Did you see that Kentucky game? And I did. So I'm taking Ole Miss minus 15.5. I already told you I'm taking Georgia minus 6.5. Ohio State minus 32.5 is the play at home against the Bruins. Now, Ohio State, they've been doing this thing where they take out Julian Sain about 3 minutes into the game because they're up 28-0. Just Ryan Day, if you hear me, if you're listening, we need you to score 70 so you can have that cushion to where I can get my money, okay? BYU minus 4.5 at home against TCU. I like them to bounce back against Josh Hoover and the Horny Frogs. Give me USF at Navy minus 10.5. Again, this is one where USF could lose, just the nature of Navy and the triple option that they play, and USF having to prepare for that. So I could take Navy plus the 10.5. That one may change later on in the week. You need to follow on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram to see if that one changes later on in the week. And then Arizona at Cincinnati. I like Arizona plus 6.5 there. They're quietly playing some good football right now. I like Fafita to give me some points there and cover the 6.5 over Cincinnati. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If this is your first video that you've tuned in, appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe down below, leave a comment, like this video, and follow at Ian Fritts Show on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. I love you guys. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
45, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my